Now for negative punishment. So what does this do? You might be able to say it for me now, but negative punishment will decrease the behavioral frequency, and it does so by removing a stimulus. What is it not? It is not morally negative. Again, we're thinking about this in terms of mathematics. We are removing a stimulus, and as a result, that behavioral frequency is declining. Now, the thing about negative punishment is it is also not independently punishing. Let me explain. Perhaps the best example of negative punishment is timeout. If you take a child and sit them in timeout after they are misbehaving, then they are being negatively punished for their behavior. They are being removed from a positive stimulus of play and enjoyment with their friends, and as a result, we are hoping that their behavior will decrease, whatever behavior it is that we took them into timeout for. But the problem is that on its own is not enough to change the frequency of the behavior. Why not? Because in order for the timeout to be effective, time in must be highly reinforcing. And so the only way that sitting a child into timeout will be effective is if they are really enjoying playing with their friends, interacting with toys, or socializing. And as a result, if they are removed from that, then ideally the behavior that triggered that contingency will decrease over time. What often happens, however, is perhaps that child is not enjoying time in. Maybe they don't want to play with their friends, they don't like somebody else on the playground, or they're in a bad mood and they just don't want to play and be outgoing. Well then, in that case, a child might intentionally try to get themselves into timeout, because for them, timeout might be even more reinforcing than being in time in. Especially if they're receiving attention from an adult, or they're in a quieter area, or if it's just a different atmosphere that they're more interested in, then what's going to happen is that behavior will increase. And so negative punishment requires for there to be a positive stimulus in the first place that we are able to remove.